Hello and welcome back to Universal Love Law. Today we will be doing the ninth house stellium video. So for those of you guys who have a ninth house stellium, that basically means that you have about 4 or more planets in your that falls into your ninth house. So what I like to do is I like to go through each of the planet from the sun all the way to Pluto and explain like what are the situations and scenarios that play out for you guys and why you guys have a ninth house stellium. It's kind of like a way to understand your soul purpose here. And anybody that has a stellium in their chart, some people don't, they definitely have an emphasis in a certain area of life which does call on their divine purpose here. So what I do is for the suns, I go through the elements. I go through water, fire, air, and earth. And then for the moon and on, I just go off that that planet. I don't break down the elements of each of those because the video will be forever. So let's start off with what the ninth house is and what it represents in your life. So the ninth house is the area of life in everyone's life where that deals with understanding of higher knowledge and understanding of perspective in multiple shoes, understanding culture universally, understanding traveling and foreign exchanges, working amongst others, connecting with others that are from foreign or far distant places. Also deals with a sense of justice and your luck, like the expansion. The more broader your mind is, the more you absorb and learn about life, the more you will be rewarded, the more at peace you will be. It's the mental peace. It's the house of mental peace. It's where when you have the ninth house stellium, which I will break that down in the very end, the overall stellium, it really breaks down. It really reflects a person who's here to learn how to find mental stability within themselves. So let's start off with if you have your sun in a earth sign. So let's say you have your sun sign is in earth in your ninth house. So this creates a person who is very down to earth and practical when it comes to learning, when it comes to education. These are your scholars. These are the people who put the groundwork, the footwork in to learning and really put intention in to learning. And these are the people who will take their time to understand information inside and out, and they are willing to read books and invest in books, and they may be even drawn or attracted to other languages and other culture of people. Like those are the people that they have strong solid friendships with, or they have long-term friendships with people who are very different than them, have totally different culture than them. Yeah, so it does deal with our learning and our perception, but on a higher, grandiose scale. Like, so in a sense, it's like connecting the links, like the missing links. So a lot of the earth, the earth and the ninth house people, they connect the missing links, and they're very practical when they're explaining or teaching, because the ninth house also deals with the teacher-student dynamic, okay? So they become great teachers because they take their time to understanding information inside and out. Let's say that you have a water sun person. So if your sun sign is water in the ninth house, you grow an emotional intelligence of not just yourself, universally. Like, you understand the power of being empathic. You understand the power of understanding emotions. You guys are able to become healers because you guys are able to be like a therapy for some people. When people don't understand what they're going through, you can really evaluate the emotional stance of a person and you really love to make sense of emotions. These are people who don't, maybe early in life they may be overthrown with their emotion, but it's all a process in them learning about themselves. Emotional intelligence is the key for all sun water house in the ninth, excuse me, I keep saying that, all sun in the ninth house water people. They're here to understand and empathize with world dominance, different countries where there is disjustice going on. They're willing to fight for other people in faraway places. They're willing to fight for a cause that's bigger than them, where there's misjustice or there's a old way of doing things where it needs to be more modernized and more respected. People's feelings need to be more respected with people that have water in the ninth house. They value relationships where there's an emotional nurturing, an emotional growth. They value relationships with people that can teach them about themselves, because they are here to understand and master the area of life when it comes to the emotional body. We have the mental body, the spiritual body, the emotional body. So when we're talking about our emotional body, water deals with the emotions. So this is what people see you as. So you are here, you are seeing your purpose, your stamina, your ambition, your ego is all wrapped around learning. Learning so much information really helps you to understand yourself, like on an emotional level, because it all deals with emotion when it comes to water. Let's say you have fire. Fire is perception. It purifies. It sees through things. So it can perceive and understand knowledge. The ninth house is ruled by Sagittarius, and that is a fire sign. And also Jupiter is here. So we'll get to that, the planets. But let's say your sun sign is a fire sign, meaning Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries in the ninth house. This is really, really good, because you guys are able to perceive information. You guys are able to understand information and teach it. These are the people who can, who get inspired and get passionate about understanding knowledge, understanding information, enlightening others, and inspiring others. These are the people that are inspirational teachers. These are your world leaders. I have Sagittarius in the ninth house, and my sun sign is in Sagittarius, and it falls in my ninth house. So these people get very inspired about, so I could speak for this because I have this placement. I have a fire Sagittarius sun in my ninth house. And my sun, and my ninth house is also in Sagittarius. So these people are very, very passionate about teaching, but they're also astute learners. These people take their time to learn, but they're very tapped in psychically. So like we have our earth sun signs who will practically just step by step download information through research and buying books and doing extended amount of research and understanding knowledge. Whereas fire in the ninth house people, they have a kind of a gift of insight, intuition. They connect the dots like the earth signs do it more practical, but the fire sun sign people do it more inspirational. They get niches. They're able to understand information from a very inspirational standpoint. Like, so they're able to connect the dots off instinct, because it's the way that fire works in the ninth house. It inspires one to understand information, and it deals with the senses, like not first house, but the intuition. Okay, so like that is fire. It's your intuition. It's your ability to see and feel and understand through perception and what you're perceiving. They can see through things and pierce through things and get intuition and inspiration off things. This is why they don't have to really do as much studying as sun sign earth people. It's really interesting. But that's because they do have to do the work. They do have to understand, but they are able to get intuition downloads on knowledge that deals with higher knowledge, and understanding of other cultures. All sun ninth house people are able to understand other cultures and appreciate and respect them for what they're worth, and know the difference in theirs, and be able to relate to others. But now let's move to the earth. Air. So air sun sign people are very, very connected to literature, written and spoken word, that all deals with higher knowledge as well. But they like to communicate about it. These are the people who are long-winded. These are your philosophers. These are people who are very witty and can communicate with people in a very charming way, style and grace. They flow easily. Their communication flows easily, like when it comes to them educating another person. Like me having fire in the ninth house, it gives me that inspiration, but fire burns out, right? So air is just an ongoing communication, and it's always able to analytically understand, comprehend, conceive other people's ideas, their own ideas. They become masters because it's like a sextile trine energy towards the ninth house. That sextile trine, which is air to fire, it creates a very easy flowing, even more than a conjunct, like a fire. Trines actually fire. Fire actually trines other fire signs. So when we talk about sextiles, we do have opportunities, and there are more creation opportunities. These are people who are able to, who are kind of lucky in the area of explaining and interpreting information. Okay, so this is but these are also people who may have business relationships and things with people that are very far away. These are the people who can make those connections and be the representatives of some type of foreign exchange, the communicators, and whatever, if it's written, some type of business, some type of legal action, law. But you also want to remember that Jupiter deals with justice and law and order and things of that nature, kind of like the sextile to Libra, the balance of the scales and the justice, right, and the fairness. So Jupiter also brings expansion. So these are people who are very wide, being able to communicate widespread with others all around the world. So they have that ability to do so. So okay, so now let's talk about what that means if your sun is in the ninth house. You are naturally here. You are here to connect with multiple people around the world, different cultures. You're here to inspire, uplift, and understand, overstand different cultures, different ideologies, different forms of religion, different forms of spirituality. It's in your purpose. It's in the sun. It's your actions. It's what people see from you. It's where you're going to shine the brightest, being either the student or being the teacher. You always shine, like your light always shines in an area of everything becomes a learning experience for you. Everything brings forth a deeper meaning for sun in the ninth house people, because they are here to understand information. They are always going to be happy when they're learning. Even if it's some like a relationship, whatever, they add that meaning to, they just add that meaning to everything in life. Everything in life, from having children to having a home to being social, every aspect of life, sun in the ninth house people add meaning to it. And that's the way they're able to be intellectuals. That's the way they're able to explain life to others and help people understand. This is what makes them wise, because they're able to be intellectual about life matters, differences, similarities. They have high IQs, even if they were not that smart in school. They didn't get that, you know, reassurance because, not smart, but like maybe they didn't thrive as much in school. But maybe that's because the way that society has created the school institutions. Sun in the ninth house people are meant to shine bright. And if they're not being supported to where their light is able to shine and be a great student, they will teach themselves over time, because they have to add that meaning to life. Everything has meaning. Everything has purpose in that sun. So let's say that your moon is in the ninth house. So if your moon is in the ninth house, this deals with your emotional state of being, your well-being, okay? So what makes you feel at an emotional balance and harmony within yourself is dealing with all things that deal with learning about yourself, learning about your others. If it doesn't make sense, you're going to be unbalanced. If something doesn't make sense, or you're at a standstill because you are not able to process what's going on, it will make you feel emotionally turbulent. These are people who seek wisdom. These are people who have connections with older, wiser people in their families. They need to be around people that support their growth in understanding life and understanding humanity. Moon in the ninth house people have a longing and a desire and like a emotional connection to places that are far away. These are people that may often, you hear their desire is to go somewhere and live off the grid somewhere or far away. They may have a desire to go and experience another culture and another way of life. These are people who love different foods that are of different cultures. These are people who love to explore the five senses and give them that sense of emotional gratification and comfortability when they're exploring new areas in life and really downloading and perceiving information through learning newness. That's that sextile to Uranus, which is so Sagittarius rule the ninth house. So like ninth house energy is a sextile to the 11th house energy, okay, which is newness. So there's a newness associated with, and we have to make those connections. Sometimes they're like, in astrology, some things don't even connect, but all things connect. It's like a web. And once we understand that web, we're able to understand and break it down. The more information you add to the breaking down of something, the more easier it is to perceive. We already have a challenge with the language barriers. We already have a challenge with not being able to express what it is that we are comprehending and what we're understanding and processing. It's a challenge for people to do that. It requires a great deal of energy and strength to break down what you are perceiving. And so that's what ninth house people are here to learn. There's a connection to getting that emotional stability through newness, through change, through expanding on your mind, through other people. This is what gives you emotional gratification when you have those opportunities present themselves for you to learn and soak in knowledge. It's like more of a desire. It's like a need for you. It nurtures you. Versus the sun, it's like more like you shine in this area. This is kind of like your life purpose, to be that teacher or to connect with others. Whereas the moon here is more so the one who gets that emotional gratification from these type of events in life. Okay, so let's move on to Mercury. So when we're talking about the mind, the mental, and communication, this is someone who is a scholar. This is someone who is in the 1%. These are people who become masters of certain topics. These are people who are able to intellectually break down areas of different subjects in life, okay? These are people who are able to master multiple subjects in life. And these are people who really are inspirational to the world, because they are able to compute. Their brains are true computers, like we all are, but these are your geniuses, okay? People who are able to tap into higher knowledge and enjoy it, because their mental world, the way they communicate, what they desire to talk about, all deals with higher perspective, okay? Higher learning. What is higher learning? Subject matters that are complicated in context or complex in context. Not always just complicated, but these are people who are mentally stimulated by the act of learning, the act of observing. These are observers and students of life. These are people who are able to create social studies, okay, and understand life through self-observation. Okay, there's the people that read a book and learn about society and the act of people coming together and socializing and sharing differences in culture. And then there's those Mercury in the ninth house people who are the ones that are conducting these studies and these long-term studies and getting this observation and able to break it down, perceive it, make charts, visualize charts. These are people who are able to visualize and create tools that we utilize in everyday life to understand. It's like a human calculator, a human dictionary, you know. These are your very smart, intelligent people, and the more they are more blessed in life, the more that they learn, the more that they grow, because they might not be recognized for it like the sun house people. Like my sun is in the ninth house. My sun is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules the ninth house. Boom. So this makes me kind of known for me being knowledgeable. The sun is there, so people see that, like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. But the Mercury is even a step further. It's like sometimes it's not really recognized for its knowledge and its perception, but they're the ones behind the scene actually creating the tools, actually creating the textbooks and, you know, those big forms of information, and able to give it to the world. So these are very valuable people to the world. So as long as you're fulfilling your purpose and expanding your mind and bringing that information forth to the world, you will get your luckiness, like your Jupiter rules the ninth house. So whatever planet you have there and you're acting on it, there will be expansion in that area and there will be abundance. So know that. So let's move on to Venus. So if you have Venus in your ninth house, you love all things that are foreign, unique, and different. Things that are not, you are seeking things that are new. These are in childhood the people who, if it's something that they're not familiar with, they're very tapped into routine and familiarity, even though they desire things that are unique and foreign and different. The moment that they're exposed to other people that are other races, they're like, whoa, they just fall in love with the understanding and perception of it all. They fall in love with knowledge. They fall in love with learning. They fall in love with being, these are your teacher pet. These are the kids in school that love their teacher and appreciate their teacher, and they know the value of that relationship. These are the people that cry at the end of every school year because they're going to say goodbye to the people who helped them develop. These are people who have a value placed on learning. But these are also people, you have to remember that Venus deals with kind of our desires on a primal level. So these are people who are into kind of taboo, you know. These are people who probably want to learn about tantric sex and things of that nature, things that are not society norm, things that are studied in different cultures. These are your sexologists. These are the people who are, you know, able to, so is Mercury, depending on what sign your Mercury is, but depending on what sign your Venus is, it wants to understand and perceive all things that are sensual, beautiful, and desirable, and learn about it and study it and research it. These are the people who are very much into that. And so it's unique what events can transpire, how things can play out for a Venus in the ninth house person. But they also are prone to falling in love with someone that is not their culture. They like their race, culture, whatever. And no matter what, like, the energy doesn't lie. So if someone in your family or you are really attracted to someone else that is not in your culture, but everyone is in your culture telling you to be attracted to only your culture or whatever, it could really go and play a negative effect on that Venus in the in the ninth house. Okay, so yeah, let's move on to how about we do Jupiter? So if you are a lucky person to have Jupiter in your ninth house, you are one of those informational gatekeepers. These are people who, if they channel their energy, can definitely be downloaders. Okay, so on a spiritual level, these people bring forth expansion of new modern knowledge and understanding of where their world is headed for years to come. These are people who are prophets. They are able to perceive and understand spirituality, metaphysics, universal laws, and things of that nature on a very deep level, but it's expanded. It's like an in-depth understanding. It's like an in-depth look at the future, in-depth look at understanding of humanity, understanding of science, understanding of mathematics, okay? But this also can make someone who is very boisterous, if that's the word, I probably made that up. Someone who is very arrogant, someone who could be very egotistical. And these are people who can be very, like, I know everything there is to know, but they might not. So that's something to look out for the Jupiter in the ninth house people. They have an amazing role. So every 12 years, when Jupiter comes back around into your ninth house, you will be going through a new shedding and newness of life, like understanding of life. Every 12 years, you will be given a gift, gifts of understanding in the form of different life, like events that happen, that play out, where you're gonna get back the expansion, whatever you gave, because you think of it like contrast, expand, contrast, like, it's like everything in life is a contracting, and probing, right? And so when you think of Jupiter, it's always expanding, but it's growing as it's going in and out and in. So depending on what information and what energy you're putting out there is what you will get back. Any desires that you ever wanted, you can manifest in this life. Jupiter in the ninth house people are able to manifest desires of what they want to understand, and like information. Let's say like a person has the desire to understand some form of study, some form of like a subject or something in life, like a life lesson, like I want to understand how to love unconditionally, or like something, it's just a rocket of desire out of them. They don't realize that Jupiter is going to bring that around every 12 years. Like it'll all make sense once Jupiter passes back. It will give you expansion. Like some people desire things, and it can be a lifelong journey of them understanding how to have self-love, or how to put others first, or how to take care of of planet Earth, or just be long-term humanitarians, whatever it is that they desire, right? Some people have long-term experiences of that. Jupiter in the ninth house people, their experiences are always to bring forth expansion. And that's a lot of their life purpose, because remember, Jupiter rules the ninth house, and your Jupiter is in the ninth house. So especially depending on what your sign is, the ninth house, your Jupiter is in, every 12 years plays a critical role, because that's when Jupiter comes back around through your ninth house. And it will bring forth all the knowledge and expansion and experiences needed to answer those desired questions that you have in your heart. Okay? So that's really deep. Um, Okay, sorry guys for that. So I want to get through these because, yeah, so we did Jupiter. Now we're going to move on to Saturn. So if you have your Saturn in the 9th house, this gives you either like Saturn deals with restriction, or like the strict parent, or like long, steady progress. So this could mean so many things. If you have a Saturn in the 9th house, this may mean that you had a very strict parent that was very wise, that taught you a lot of life lessons growing up. You may have had to grow up and be very mature and understand a lot of things, a lot of information. People who are very hard on you about learning, very astute, like parents who were who kind of may have pushed you to learning about education, or you may have been deprived of that, not having that that guidance that you needed, and you having to wait for Saturn to return for you to actually get the information you needed to begin to understand life more thoroughly. These are people who have to understand life too. Some people through hard learned lessons, things that it gave you expansion, it expanded your mind, it gave you experiences that brought you to a higher enlightenment through some type of structure or some type of forcing, some type of restriction. So some people who may feel like they're locked in the prison of their own mind, not being able to break free and expand their mind, them may have been believing that they're not smart enough for so long. When Saturn returns in 30 years, it brings forth an understanding, a maturity level, your ability to finally vocalize what you've been holding within you, your ability to be that master educator, because Saturn in the 9th house may have reflected in your life as someone who went to school for many years regarding some type of subject, like maybe it being law school, or maybe you wanting to be a doctor or a judge, something that required a long learning process, something that required you to be in some type of institution for a long period of time, with them levels of certification and things required for you to, and structure in the way for you to become that master in whatever area of life. These are people who may be born and raised in one area in their life, and then jump and move all the way across the world, like during adolescence, and they're like, why me? I was happy where I am. But then they learn to value the understanding of another place, in another area, another and newer information that you receive from being in these new places. So yeah, that's Saturn. And then so now we're going to move to Uranus. Uranus is the rebellion and change. So these are people who are always rebelling against old ideologies, always learning and abandoning old ways that they may have picked up, old belief systems. These are the revolutionaries. These are people that are able to bring forth a new understanding, a new way of looking at old sciences. Okay, these are your people who are very genius, very intelligent, highly intelligent. These are people who are a part of associated groups that deal with understanding of higher knowledge. This is like their reputation. They're known as the geek squad, or like the intelligent ones, the master this and master that, like proud nerds like me. I'm a proud nerd. So no, but yeah, that's my sextile, that Sagittarius sextile Aquarius, that Uranus energy. So these are people who are unique. They may really be passionate in learning about things that are very foreign. They're very unique people and quirky in nature, but they possess so much knowledge. They're here to bring forth the revolution of change in the way we've been taught. They do not they do not like for things to be unjust. Like, they really rebel against teachings that are falsehood, false prophets, false teachers. They see through people. They see through, they can sense your heart and soul. Uranus is the truth seeker, and it's the knowledge seeker, and so is that ninth house energy. It possesses that. It is the knowledge seeker, and they have the ability to geniusly know, if this person is true to themselves or if this person is full of crap. They really they listen to what a person's saying, because the ninth house is the teacher-student dynamic. Okay, so early on, they really know if a teacher is really into teaching what they're teaching about. Into what they're teaching about, or if they're just sounding like they're regurgitating information that they learned from some books. These people don't like that. It's like, if the teacher's not taking this serious, why would I take it serious? Like, these people are very wise at young ages. They understand if your intention is good, like, for them, and they also understand if it's not. They also understand if they can size your mind up. Okay, like, how some people more physical, they can size you up physically, or there's some people that can be sized up mentally. These are the people who can mentally decipher where you are and bring an expansion to your world, and help you to understand and expand your mind. So these people, they have to learn not to be so self-righteous in the knowing that they know it all. Because they are genius. Remember, Uranus deals with the genius energy, but it also deals with the rebellion and the change. So they may like learning things in a modern new way. They bring forth a new way of teaching and learning. And they also can see and pierce through anything that's false. So let's see, Neptune. So let's say you have Neptune. You have the ability to perceive information through intuition. This is kind of like the fire sun people in the ninth house. The ninth house deals with information, higher knowledge. Neptune deals with perception, illusion, deceit, but it also deals with intuition, okay? In a positive light, Neptune in the ninth house can bring forth so many creative ways of teaching. These can be very nurturing, very intelligent, in-depth, understanding, intuitively tapped into understanding people on a very spiritual level. These are your spiritual leaders, your spiritual teachers, your spiritual students. They're really, really into mysticism. They break it down. They understand it. They're able to teach others. They're healers. These are some magical people, very magical, all in the world of learning. These are your Buddhist monks. These are the people who are able to go into vows of silence, or all type of different spiritual fasting and things of that with inspiration, like so happy to receive the information they know they're going to receive due to this act of discipline on themselves. Neptune ninth house people are very much so look forward to learning and growing through some act of spirituality, some act of intuition, their abilities to tap into understanding knowledge on a very spiritual and magical way. They desire that. It's a part of their natural ability. It's the tool that they possess, being able to understand and decipher information in a very, not just unique, but a very insightful way. These are people who really go with their gut. Once they learn, like early in life, they may like be naive to a lot of things because, the disillusion and things of that nature, not believing the information that they are learning, feelings of deception and deceit from teachers or from the government, like, like our false information, like how we were given false information to keep our civilization dumbed down. That might really rile up a Neptune ninth house people, because they may have sensed it even in childhood that they were learning false information. Same as the Uranus, like, but these people are very keen into feeling the sense of deception through the teachings, the act of teaching. And if they feel duped, or if they feel like they've been lied to, if they feel like they've been practicing something for years, and it was all like not true, or it was all like dishonest, it could really devastate a Neptune ninth house people. These people really hold on to their value and belief system, but they realize over time that all things are but an illusion. And the more spiritual and inclined they become and heighten their ability to sense and understand and overstand information, they will become very amazing healers, and also very amazing teachers. Okay. And last but not least, before I break down the stellium, is we're going to talk about Pluto. So if you have your Pluto in, I'm sorry guys, I did not do Mars. I'm gonna do Mars. So let's say you have your Mars in the ninth house. These are your great debaters. Kind of like Mars in the third house, but these are people who are scholarly debaters. These are people who are very passionate and very proactive about teaching and learning and digesting information that is beneficial for the mind, body, and spirit. These people are very, very proactive. Like when it comes to the act of learning, these are people who actively may go to school, may actively be teachers, may actively be in the form of an area of life where they're teaching others information and helping other people download information. Like, these are the revolutionaries. These are the people who fight for what they believe in. These are the people who fight for a freedom of learning, that all people, like, they're passionate. They feel like all people should have access to knowledge and information. These also could be the people who do not like deception. Like, if you're watching this and you're on your spiritual journey and your spiritual path, your Mars in the ninth house may cause you to want to learn more. Keywords, little things that you hear a person say may trigger your Mars. Like, what's that about? I'm going to go look it up. Like, immediately, like they just boom, 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 right? And a lot of the reason why I know that is because my Mars is in my ninth house. So my sun and my Mars is in the ninth house. So these are people who are doers. When they are triggered by some new form of information, they will abandon their old ways of thinking, and they will begin to build upon a new way of thinking. They like action and towards learning things that are new. And once they feel like they're on their path to whatever it is that they're learning, they will be lifelong studiers. They will always take action, meaning if they're buying books about it, if they're going to seminars, if they're about what they learn about, what they're into, what they learn about, they want to put action. It gives their life more meaning. Mars in the ninth house people, they need to feel like they are taking action towards their learning, their expansion of the mind, and they're ready to have those mental conversations with people, to kind of mentally spar with you to see how much do you know. And so yeah, it's really important with the Mars there. But now let's go to Pluto. So a lot of Pluto ninth house people, they have a lot to learn in this life when it comes to like spirituality, higher concepts, and learning things. It transforms their mind. So these are people who get captivated. They get captivated on understanding and processing new information. They take their time learning something new, and they realize with this time that, they realize over time that they are becoming this, think of the phoenix, right? So Pluto is the phoenix. It's the bird that explodes and then burns into ashes, and out of the ashes is we reborn again. So a lot of times these are people who may have been deceived, and they learned that the old ideologies that they were brought up into, religious understanding and information, may have deceived them. They may be reborn again. There's a pivotal point in a Pluto 9th house person's life where they're transformed through the teachings, through understanding of some sort of information. 9th house is directly linked to the mental realm, where all things are created in the now. 9th house gives you an ability to perceive information on different dimensional planes if you're able to tap into that information. It's not just scholarly, like the information that we have in books and things of this world. It's also being able to go within the self and to get connected with source, to get information and get downloaded information from the ether. So you being able to tap into this world, it's like a playground. Okay, so because it's like an adult playground, even for children. The more they learn, the more they grow, the more happy they become. These are people who are lifelong students of life and teachers of life. That is their purpose. Okay, so, and Pluto will bring forth an experience or multiple experiences where their life is changed forever through something traumatic or through something that is just inevitable. Like, it's a part of their evolution. So now let's get to, if you have a 9th house stellium, it's very important for you to understand there's an overwhelming amount of energy that is placed in the area of life of higher knowledge, learning, foreign exchange, traveling, okay? Expansion of the mind, body, and spirit. So if you have a 9th house stellium, these are the experiences that you will go through in life. And it's okay to feel like you don't know it all, because a lot of 9th house people can be a little egotistical. A lot of 9th house stellium people grow their ego centered around how much information they know until they realize that they don't really know anything. So they're always on an up and uphill battle to know more, to be genius, to have more information just in their mind, having more insight. And these people really desire knowledge. They desire to know and learn and understand and grow. These people, 9th house stellium people, you guys are not okay until you have enough information to build upon. Being new to something it fuels you to wanting to understand more about it. Your role in society is to gain and extract as much knowledge that you can so that you can be a great teacher. Remember, there's luck in the endeavors that you undergo. There's luck, there's expansion. So what you give out, you will get back. It's a part of the pulse, okay? It's the part of the give and take. It's the part of the receiving of knowledge, okay? It's an ongoing growth. Think of all experiences in life. You're always expanding, you're always growing, you're always contracting and understanding more complex concepts. What is your role once you're here, once you master a certain area? Which you are. Another thing is learning mastery. So, or like some people just know a little bit of everything. This is like more 3rd house Gemini energy, right? But these are the people who are able to master a certain topic and teach it in a philosophical way. Bring forth knowledge to the world is your purpose. A lot of people have different stelliums and they have different life lessons. Yours is to never give up on your purpose and your journey and your desires in life. If you desire to grow and expand and be the teacher and the student, then you need to do that. If your desire is to learn one subject and become the greatest at it, no matter how long it takes, you need to do that. If your experience is to go across the world and explore understanding a new way of living in a new life, you need to do that. If your desire is to learn different languages and understand and being able to communicate with a lot of different people, you need to do that. If you have a focus in life, like something that you're really into, that you are discouraged because you may not have the money to go to school for it or whatever, don't worry about that. Jupiter will take care of you. You need to do it. Okay? So you guys are here to learn as much as you can to keep the future generations learning. These ninth house stellium people allow information to surpass, to stay in existence, okay, for long periods of time, generations and generations, of your life, your family, just in general, like the universal experience. Like, we have information that's so far back. Why? Because these ninth house people keep the hope alive through the mental, the education, the information. They keep it coming through. They keep filtering it through into the newer generations, This is what the ninth house people are here to do. If we just had eighth house people, we would be just transforming and ascending past our old experiences and just shedding it, and all that knowledge will be gone. That's why the ninth house, which comes after the eighth house, is a reflection and understanding and giving life meaning from those old experiences. It's the wisdom. Okay? We're not supposed to lose the knowledge. We're supposed to build on top of the knowledge. And that is my ninth house stellium video. Okay? Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning into Universal Love Law. Peace.